Nobody ever really wants any of their teammates to be assholes. In an ideal world, everybody you play with would be a great guy, great personality, easy to work with, and all that kumbaya shit. If there had to be an asshole on the team, though, I would prefer it to either be the center back or the striker. Center backs tend to be the no-nonsense, never fuck around captain type. Strikers, though, the goal scorers, the match winners, the ones that usually need to put the ball in the net for you to win, I'm not gonna lie, it tends to be a bit better if they're slightly tapped upstairs. Obsessed with scoring, the only thing they give a damn about is putting the ball in the net. There needs to be this air of ruthlessness about them, and the strikers that have it tend to be more successful than the ones that don't. Yesterday, Gyokeres got a brace in his second Premier League game, and his overall performance wasn't really great. He still looked like he's getting used to the league. A lot of his touches weren't great. He panicked and fluffed a great chance early. He scored a brilliant goal in the second half, though, and celebrated like he hadn't scored since January. It's only been 2 games, my boy. In the 140 minutes from the Athletic friendly where he scored to his first Leeds goal, he'd been walking around like his dog died. Every time they panned the camera to him, he looked utterly miserable. It got even funnier at the end of the match when Dauman won the penalty. He ain't even give Dauman a chance to look at Rice. He was hanging on his back the entire time they reviewed it. Yeah, I remember when they gave Havertz that Make-A-Wish penalty last season? Yeah, if they tried that this year, Gyokeres would have ripped the ball out his hands before he even made it to the spot. Look at him peeking like the ball was going to run away. He was licking his lips like he was looking at a plate of oxtails. This dude is a sicko. A lot of people tried to make the argument that Dauman should have taken the penalty because it would have been a great gesture on his debut and tried to say that Gyokeres was being greedy, but respectfully, I'm glad he said fuck out of here, little nigga. The greedier the striker, the better. And history has shown that while many have been difficult for teammates to deal with at times, they almost always come hand in hand with success. Inzaghi, aka Mr. Never Swing the Rock, was the most devious of them all. If you were wide open in the box and you expected him to pass to you, you're hilarious. I'm not gonna lie. What Kobe said? Just get the rebound, nigga. Only person he was passing to was himself. He was a certified dickhead. I don't know how many of y'all remember the Venezia story from one of my old videos, but basically, Del Piero hurt his knee, and after coming back from injury, he was struggling to score. Now, normally, when a star player is having issues after coming back from an injury, most of their teammates would do their best to help them score and get their confidence up a bit. Needless to say, Inzaghi didn't give a damn about none of that shit. Now, the first one isn't bad at all. He rounded the keeper, and Del Piero isn't entitled to that. But the second one was hilarious. Buddy had Del Piero wide open for a tap and took the worst shot ever, got a lucky rebound and bounced it in. Del Piero was understandably frustrated, but it got even worse. On the hat-trick goal, he straight up took it off Del Piero's foot, and he was pissed. You can't even fully blame him there because he had no way of knowing Del Piero was right behind him, but even if he did, I highly doubt Inzaghi would just let him have it instead of scoring a hat-trick himself. He was a rabid dog in front of goal. All he cared about was scoring. He wasn't some elite technical talent like Del Piero. He wasn't creating a million chances a game or something, but he knew where to lurk in the box, and it made him lethal. To be honest, he was probably the most shameless player of all time. He would get absurdly lucky-ass goals and then celebrate like a maniac. He was hilarious. But he scored so many goals off deflected free kicks that I'm convinced Pirlo was using his body to do trick shots. He must have had the tune force or something. Everything just seemed to go his way in the box. That's why they say positioning is so important, bro. Words can't even describe how much everybody would hate him if he played today. That's why I don't really give a shit when people talk about strikers having quote-unquote stinkers and then covering it up with a goal. Their job is to score, bro. If they managed to get one in there, who cares if they didn't do a bunch of flicks and layoffs all game? Be for real. There was countless games where Inzaghi used to straight bullshit for an hour and then scored the jammiest goal you've ever seen in your life and go ballistic like he just won the World Cup. If Haaland gets slandered, then Lord knows how he would get treated today. Romario was another certified dickhead. When people think of degenerate Brazilian footballers, he gotta be on the Mount Rushmore, bruh. He called Pelé a retard. He was another serial party attender, and he regularly beefed with his teammates at Barcelona. Nobody could deny that he knew how to score, though. As he famously said, strikers are egotists and selfish. They have to be. I'd rather have a striker that took too many shots than one that was scared of the ball, to be honest. No offense to Havertz, but there was many times he looked like he was terrified of shooting these past 2 seasons, and despite the fact that his all-around play is better than most people give him credit for, Arsenal was dying for a player like Gyokeres. Ruud van Nistelrooy will always be my favorite example of a sicko striker, even though he played for United. He was regularly criticized for being greedy. Andy Cole called him selfish as hell, and even Ferguson himself criticized him for it. Like Inzaghi, though, Van Nistelrooy's greed is what made him so successful, and he was arguably the most lethal finisher of the 2000s decade in the Premier League. Henry was flashier, yes, and had a much better goal catalog and was easily the better overall player, but when it comes to lingering in the box and straight up punching it in, I got Van Nistelrooy. Van Nistelrooy's Henry obsession was another hilarious part of his borderline psycho mentality. Scholes and multiple other teammates talked about how he would check to see if Henry scored after every match and he would be sick if he did. They even said he would sulk if Henry outperformed him in a match, which is killing me because Henry didn't have the same obsession in return. Van Nistelrooy's behavior did end up negatively affecting the team eventually though, and it led to his departure from United. It was getting harder to develop players like Ronaldo and Rooney when you had a pissy unk losing his mind whenever he didn't get the ball in the box. Apparently, he made Ronaldo cry in training once when they had an argument about it, according to Luis Saha. Eventually, Ferguson phased him out as Ronaldo and Rooney took over. It's kind of ironic because after all that, Ronaldo ended up becoming even more of a maniac later in his career. There was numerous funny-ass instances you can point to. My favorite is definitely when Higuain went on a run and rounded the keeper and Ronaldo tackled him trying to steal the goal. It's still one of the funniest things I've ever seen, bro. What the hell was he actually thinking? That one where he got mad after his teammates scored be frying me too, bro. Past teammates like Van der Vaart and Bale said even if Madrid won 5-0 or 6-0, if Ronaldo didn't score, he would be pissed after the game. Ronaldo's absurd mentality is part of the reason he has the most goals ever, so it's hard to knock him. Being mad after you didn't score should be the norm for a striker, to be honest. Zlatan's Swedish teammates called him a pain because of how centered around him the team was, but to be fair to Zlatan, he was by far the best player on those Swedish teams. Obviously, off the pitch, Zlatan is a pretty egotistical dude, but on the pitch, I'd say that absurd level of self-belief and borderline delusional level of ego can be a good thing depending on the situation. It's led to him scoring utterly ridiculous goals. Players like Lewandowski have also commented on strikers having to be selfish, and there's a reason they're often the biggest assholes on the pitch. It takes an insane amount of self-belief, confidence, and ego to score some of the goals these guys score. Who's your favorite example of an utterly insane striker who was borderline psycho? Not gonna lie, I'm probably gonna stick with Inzaghi just because it's hilarious how much of a dickhead he was. Like, he was genuinely an asshole in the box. Thanks for watching. New video coming soon. I'm gonna catch y'all next time.